Hi, my name is Ayliz Ray and welcome to my new YouTube video. Today we will be just chit-chatting a bit, and I kind of wanted to give a bit of my thoughts into the world because I feel like yapping today a bit about the world, and yeah, just grab popcorn, anything, and let's have a little chit-chat. So, I kind of wanted to share a bit of my thoughts and everything that's going on in this earth or generally. And kind of wanted to talk about everything that's happening or happened or whatever. So for reference, I live in a country where I was born in, but my roots are from somewhere else. And yeah, and I also have a foreign name with where my roots are from, right? And I gotta admit, as a person that grew up like this, right, I had for years and years a really kind of identity crisis. And that was because I felt like I never belonged somewhere. So I will tell you a bit about my life, some fragments about my life. So you can kind of understand what I mean better. And let's start from my childhood because that's where everything actually started, right? So when I was in kindergarten, I had my mother tongue as the first language and not the language where I was born in, right? So I already had a quite harder starting. So before someone thinks I'm religious, I'm not religious, but I used to grow up in a religious household, right? So I went to a kindergarten that was another religion, which was Christianity, and I couldn't speak the language here, right? Because my mother tongue was another language, because my family usually spoke to me in that language. And I basically had very hard time adapting to the new world basically in kindergarten. I had to learn a new language and everything, and it was very hard already, right? I couldn't even really make friends. Actually, in kindergarten I made 2 friends, but there was one girl, and I still remember her name, guys. And that girl usually always took those 2 girls that I was trying to be friends with away for some reason. I don't know. That one girl hated me, okay? And until this day, I still don't know why, but I myself say it's racism because there was no reason, guys. I was always very, I couldn't even speak the language. We had a language barrier anyways. And I was a very shy girl when I was younger, especially in kindergarten. I was not talking much, and I was actually always in my own head and everything. I never really was, yeah, I don't know how to say it, but I was never very loud. I was not a loud child. Growing up, I was not a loud child. And I was very shy and very, yeah, I was a chill kid, I would say, and stuff like that. And for some reason, this girl always had an issue. I remember how one time, I was sitting there and she, I was painting a picture, right? And for some reason, she took picture, a picture, a paper, draw just a line, throw it to the side, took a new paper, a piece of paper, then drew a line and then put it away. And she kept on doing that, and I was just watching it from the other side of the table. And then she went to the kindergarten teacher and said that was me. And since I had this language barrier too, yeah, I basically got in trouble for something I never did. And I'm not even I don't even remember kindergarten that much, because I went through a lot of things, very traumatizing things. I don't remember much, but like that's one of the things I feel like I still remember, if that makes sense. And I remember also like how I was once playing alone. Other than that, I have no other memories anymore at kindergarten. Like, those two are the only things I've left from kindergarten times. Other than that, I don't remember much. And all I know is that I was a very shy and silent child, because like my mom tells me always. So that's where I know from, and like also like, yeah, like where my mom tells me from. So that's where I know that from. And I remember how I was just never very like talk active and stuff like that. And then, yeah, so I came into school, and when I came into school, everything was still very hard because I still had that language barrier. Like, I was speaking, I think, good enough, but I still didn't know some things. And the children at class usually love to make fun of it, because I was speaking the language very normal, but there were still like some words that I have never heard of, because I didn't had anyone speaking that language to me besides school, right? Like, other than that, when I was home, they were like talking my mother tongue language, you know? So I didn't had, other than that, much contact with it. So I only learned the words that I've ever heard in my life since kindergarten and school, right? And I remember how like I also don't remember many things about like my school years from first grade until fourth grade. There's still a lot of chunks missing, but I remember how once someone asked me if I knew what that word is. I was like, no, because I didn't know. And then they started laughing. And yeah, that's what I remember from that. Other than that, I don't remember anything from those grades, any like years, anything either. And then from then on, from fifth grade until like 10th grade or something like that, I remember how people, like when I was like walking in school, like the hallway in school, I remember how other classes that I have never like done anything with, talked to, I remember how they went and said, like when I was like walking past them, they were like, oh, look at that, and then they called the name where my origins are from and said that like in a very like insulting way to me. And they basically used it as an insult word, right? And I was like, okay, like that's crazy, you know? And most of the time, it were like people from this country, and they were like most of the time like mocking me. And they are like making fun of me for having like an origin from somewhere else, even though I was in fact like born here. But yeah, like that behavior is like crazy, right? And you know, the craziest thing about all of this, and the reason why I'm telling this, is every time I remember how every time I did something good, it was like, oh, you're the country name I'm like living in right now, right? Where I was born in. And every time I did something not as good as they wanted, it always was like, oh, yeah, she's from origin country's name. And I was like, oh, that's the game we're playing, I guess. So you understand, like growing up, I could never identify with the country I was born in. And now to the country where my origins are from. Like, I remember how like I was in that other country, and I remember how every time I was encountering new people, they always said like, oh, you're not from here, you're from there, the country where I was born in. So no matter in what country I was always seen as, you're not from here. Like, oh, you're born here? No, but like, or your origins are from there. And then that other country was like, oh, no, you're not born here, so you're not from here. And now, guys, I'm asking you, what would you say? Like, what would you say in that case? Like, what would you relate with more? With which country? Because let me tell you what, I can't identify with neither country now. I don't feel like that country, I don't feel like this country. I feel as if I'm just nowhere at home besides my own four walls, basically, you know. Other than that, like the country, I don't know. Like if someone asked me, oh, you know what happened like one time, I remember how I was like outside and the granny came to me and she was like, oh, can I ask you something? And I'm like, yes, because I thought, because most of the time when like elder people spoke to me, they usually asked for the what was it called in English? For the church, like where the church is, which is funny. But yeah, so I was like, she wanna ask like which church, like where church is maybe. And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from here. You know, like, because it was in the village where I lived. And she was like, no, where are you from? And then I said like, the city name of the village. And she was like, no, where are you from, really? And I'm looking at her, I'm like, I was born here. And she was like, no, where are you from, really? And I'm like, oh, you mean my origin, like my roots and stuff like that? Well, they're from da-da-da-da. And she was like, ah. I will never forget that. And then she was like, oh yeah, women from there are strong. And I'm like, okay, like that was a weird take, but yeah. And I also remember another granny, like I was living near you know, where like elder people that don't have people to care for them, and, or generally like can live there when they're elder. So that's why I encounter very much like a lot of like old elder people. So before someone asks like, she's lying, no, I'm not lying. I remember another granny once stopped me, and I thought she wanna like ask because of the church, and she said like, can I ask you something? And I was like, of course. And she was like, are you Italian by any chance? I'm like, no. I was like, no. And then she was like, okay, but like, where are you from? And I was like, okay. Like I had the same conversation with another granny. And like at first it might seem like not of a big deal, but if you like look into it deeper, it feels weird, because especially if you say like you were born here and they keep on digging, it feels quite weird, guys. And yeah, I don't know, like it's actually interesting, but you know, like those encounters are like okay, But then I have like encounters where it goes crazy, okay? Crazy in terms of like straight up just racism. For example, I had to get a new, like that happened just yesterday, guys. That just happened yesterday. So I went and I needed a new ID. And I went in and the lady came out and she had to like scan something and she was like, yeah, just one moment. I was like, no stress. And then I went in with her because she said like, okay, now like how can I help you? I'm like, oh yeah, like I need a new ID. And then she was like, yeah, do you already have a picture? I'm like, yes, I have a picture. And then I gave it to her and she was like, okay. And then I gave her my ID and then she had the back of my ID in her hand, right? And she was like, brown eyes and your height, is it still blah blah? And I was like, yeah, and I was like joking, like trying to make a joke. I was like, yeah, like I'm out of the age where I'm growing, so yeah, the height is still the same. And then she was like, okay, like take a seat because it might take a bit longer. I'm like, okay, like, and then I sat down and then she turned my ID where you can see my name. And how I just said, my name is a foreign name to this country, right? And she's like twisting it around, looking at it, and her face dropped. And all the spark while talking to me, like all this, it just stopped. She literally looked me dead, like not even, she didn't even look me in my face, and if she did, she was like this, like this, like this. Wait. You know, like as if she doesn't want to like look at me anymore. And at first I was like, okay, what the... And then she was like, starting to answer very rudely because I asked her like how long it might take until I get my new ID. And she was like, about 2 weeks. Like very, very rude and very like, yeah, not nice anymore. And I was like, okay. I was still trying to like make everything seem normal, and then I had to like give my signature to something that I have never like seen. And she was like, yeah, you have to sign that up. And I was like, okay, what exactly is that? Because I've never seen something like that. She was like, yeah, you just have to sign it up. And I'm like, okay. I will just read it. And she was like, yeah, just read it and then sign it up. Like very, very rude. And I was like, okay, like chill, like. And I told her, I was like, oh, like, okay, like she was like, we always have to do this. And I'm like, okay, like I've never seen it, so I don't know, like I've never seen it, so I will just read it. And then I was like reading it, and then I don't know, but like the whole time she was just very rude and answered very short and literally tried to not make eye contact at all anymore. And I was like, whatever, because guys, like, and that's one of the things, right? Like I encounter racism on a daily basis, especially in the country here right now. Like, it's not even funny. I remember how back then in school, one girl came to me and asked me, which I said the first, it's fine, because I kind of get where the question is coming from, but it's still annoying. And she asked me if I will be in a forced marriage. And honestly, guys, I told her back then, I said like yes as a joke because I was like, how can you think that? But I get where the question comes from, but like in this country, it's kind of hard to do that. So, like, by the way, right? Like, she was acting as if we are, I don't know, like in a different timeline where it's still like kind of like possible. Like, I mean, I know it can still happen, but like, no. Like, just because I'm from somewhere doesn't mean things like that happen to everyone, you know? And I get her question because she probably just hears some crap basically at home, because that's most of the time where every like, yeah, how can I explain, like most of the time younger people have it mostly from their parents, you know, like this like very weird weird view at like people's origins and stuff like that. But she was in general always weird, because I remember how she once said she would never date a foreign person. And then I asked her, because she was like, keep on dating Russian men. I was like, okay, what about Russian men? And she was like, they are not foreigners. I'm like, what? Because they look more white, they are not foreigners, okay? And stuff like that. So she was a different type of crazy anyways, but whatever, and stuff like that. So as you can see, everything was a mess anyways. Yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't even want to choose, because I wouldn't want to be near. I wouldn't, like, if it's up to me, guys, I don't care about nationality, and that's what I'm like always saying and praising. I don't care where someone's coming from. Like, if you're a nice person, then we will just like get along respectfully, you know? So I don't care like where your origins are from, where you're born in, what language you're speaking, what language you're not speaking. Like, I couldn't care less. And then you know, I feel like the more you are in a position like me, the more you will understand what I mean. And you know, the funniest part is too, since I got bullied by a lot of people in this country, I remember how once a person from this country asked me like, how can you not hate the people from this country? And I told them, I was like, because I don't care about nationality. I don't care where someone is from, because at the end of the day, even if I would have been in another country, it could have been the same way anyways. As long as I'm not originally from a country, you know. So yeah, like I don't care about that. Also, like foreign people can be bad too and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't matter where someone is from. And just because people bullied me from that or from that country doesn't mean all of them are like that, you know? So that was never for me a reason to hate an entire group of people, even though I got bullied by many, because I am not an original one of them, right? So, and yeah, the person was quite shocked, because I told them like a lot of like stories that happened, and that shocked him, and I was like, totally understandable, but like I don't care, right? And I don't know. So I literally had an identity crisis for a long time, because as a child I was like, I'm both, because I was like, I'm both, but now I'm like, I'm neither. I don't feel, I don't want to label myself as a country. Like, it seems absurd to me, because we don't choose where on this earth we will be born. Like, I didn't choose that. I didn't choose to be in a religious family. I didn't choose to be a girl, you know? Like, being forced, like being born into something you didn't choose, doesn't define you, in my opinion, you know? Like, also, like, the whole country thing is actually, if you look at it, fictional anyways. People just wanted to belong somewhere for some reason. Don't ask me why, because I don't really understand this whole concept of wanting to belong somewhere, because I never had that feeling in that terms, because I never could belong somewhere. Probably that's why. But I also didn't feel the need. Like, I was confused as a child why I get treated the way I do, now I understand, because mostly it's just racism, but I don't see a reason to like give credits to it, you know, like neither to that country, neither to the other country. So it's actually all just made up by people anyways. I would say just like religion, but people will probably get mad at me for that opinion, but a lot of things are man-made, you know, like humans made it to, for example, like to exist in the system they try to survive in. So I don't really care about all of this. It was also the same with like religion. I remember when I was younger, they tried to like kind of like force the religion onto me, more or less. And you know, the thing is, they used fear a lot. And if there is something, guys, I hate and you should know about me, is getting forced into something. I genuinely don't like that, and I will rebel against that. And I never understood why I couldn't choose what I want to believe in, because if for me it made like, as a child I was saying like yes I am, because back then I couldn't like really like I didn't know what else options I had. And the older I got, the more I digged into it. Like around 15, 16, I was like more and more building my own opinion about things, right? And I started to like understand like everything is like more or less like fear-based. And honestly, guys, if I go into hell at some point for not believing into something, or because I didn't do whatever, then honestly, okay, like if you think a person like me should go into hell, but not a person that literally destroys other people's lives just because they said sorry to someone, okay, like it's everyone's own opinion, and that's okay, you know, that's the whole point. Like if you want to be religious, but don't force it onto other people, okay? Because it's not your right. You can advise them and give them like your opinion on it, but you can't force anyone into believing something. Because you know, when I was younger, I was like saying I'm that religion, but I never believed in it. Like it felt always like it's not me, you know? Like it didn't felt like me, because it didn't align with my ideas. Like this whole concept of everything, like culture-wise too. Like the culture I got, like, oh, you have to serve a man. That doesn't align with me. Like, what do you mean serve a man? Like, I'm not a servant, okay? Like, I'm my own person. And I'm not less worthy than a man. Like, I will not play into that, okay? And I never got the concept and all this, like, oh yeah, women have to, like, walk around, and if they have, like, guests, and the man will always just sit. No, the hell not. Like, I'm not less worth of anything, right? And it generally, I don't know, it always bothered me, all of this. And I was like, it just doesn't align with my values. If it does with yours, it's fine. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to talk people out of it. I'm just talking from my perspective. Like, I didn't like that. And I questioned it even as a child. A lot of people already saw that what I will like be at some point when I'm older, but they tried to like still like pressure it for some reason onto me still. Now I'm left alone because they understood like it's not working with her. So yeah, and all of that, I don't know, guys. Like a lot of people, I like a lot of things. Yeah, it's hard to explain, kind of, but like, you know, like what I wanted to like give with this video is the perspective of a person that's basically in between two worlds, that grew up with something forced onto her, or at least tried. Like, it was never that bad. Like, I know there are way worse situations, so I'm very blessed for not being it worse. But it was worse in my own terms already, okay? And that's why it's important. Like, if something doesn't align with your own values, if you feel like something is wrong for you, listen to your own voice, because it's your voice. And if you don't feel comfortable with something, it's your right to not be comfortable with it. It's your body, it's your choice, it's your head, it's your choice, understand? And that's what's important. And I feel like there are many people that will relate to this video in terms of like being in between two worlds, or having something forced onto you that you don't like, that doesn't align with you, and all this like racism and contraring maybe too. Like, if you went through a situation like that, you know how it feels like being in between two worlds, not being accepted anywhere, anyways, no matter what you do. Like, I was never good enough for any country, no matter what I did. I was never enough. And at some point, if you like grow up, you're like, it doesn't matter anyways, like what I label myself as, because at the end of the day, one day I will die, okay? No one will care what country I was from, what happened to me, who I am. Like, no one will care about that anyways. So why do I care, you know? And I don't know, that's the whole thing. Like, just live the life you want the way you wanted it, okay? Like, just be nice to each other. That's all I'm saying, guys. Like, just be nice to other people. And especially, I know that sometimes it might be like, if you talk to someone from another country or from different origin or whatever, you might have maybe some questions, but first Google them before you ask someone, because you don't know how many times they've encountered maybe like very like stupid questions where you were like, you know, at first might seem like okay to you, but like it generally can bother someone. Like, I'm constantly getting asked what my surname name means, what my name means, and everything. And I get the questions, and it might doesn't seem like something crazy to many people, but like if it was like linked to racist things and comments, at some point you just generally can't take it anymore. Like, I just wanted to make this video because currently we have a very political right view in this world, I feel like. And it makes me sad that people don't seem to understand that racism is bad no matter what, and that people like me, we're not welcomed anywhere, really, if you look into it, right? Like, at least I don't know someone that was ever like normally accepted in any country. Besides, they try to like I had this one teacher, okay, and he hated his origins, okay? Like, he hated it. He even had a first name that was from this country. And other than that, but like his looks, he looks like this, you know, when you like say like a typical from that origin. He kind of had that looks, even though I hate that term, because people from that country could also be blonde, blue-eyed, whatever, but they don't care about that, like the stereotype type of thing, you know. So he looks basically how other people would say like that country, like. And he hated his origins, and I don't know what the reason was he hated it so much, but he tried to fit into this country's views, okay, and he tried to fit into it so much. But the issue is, he never could erase his origins. And the reason why was because his surname gave it away, right away. And he encountered so much racism, as I heard from his stories, where I feel like that's why he started to hate it, because the way he got treated by it. And honestly, I understand that. Like, genuinely, I understand that. Like, always having to encounter racism here, I totally get that. Really. Okay? Because I've experienced it myself too. I know what he went through. I feel it, okay? But now trying to fit into this country just to get accepted will not work. And it didn't work for him anyways. Why? Because people can tell. And people don't care as much as you play into it. They just have to know your surname or any name, or they just have to feel like you kind of like don't belong here and stuff like that. They will start mocking you and doing everything in their hands to destroy it anyways. So if anyone ever thought that that's the answer, I can say to you, like, you can try it if you want to, but it will probably not work out. And all you do is actually erase, like trying to erase something you have no control over. Be yourself, okay? Like, I'm not saying embrace it, because like I'm not embracing it too. Like, I'm not saying I'm from that country, I'm from this country. Like, I don't care. If someone asks me where are you from, I'm saying from here because I was born here and I'm living here. Nothing more, okay? But if someone asks me where your origins from, I'm like saying, okay, they're from there, because why should I lie, okay? It's nothing I choose, and I don't have to be like ashamed of it or something like that. Like, I don't care about that, right? And if someone thinks they have to treat me bad because of it, it's their choice. But people should know it's hurting, because it's nothing I choose. And even though I would have chosen it or whatever, it gives you no right to act like that because of someone's origins, guys. This is so crazy. I don't know. Like, I'm disappointed in humanity. Honestly. Like, imagine someone is hurt, okay? And now imagine you are hurt right now. And someone is walking past you, looking at you, asking you, oh, where are you from? Are you from here? And you're saying like, and no, my origins are from it. Oh, I'm not gonna help you. And they just walk. And you're like, I don't know, laying down, almost bleeding. Because you're about to whatever, you know? How would you feel? How would you feel? You would feel bad. You would feel miserable. And understandable. Because that's literally currently the situation we live in, guys. And it's not funny. It's not funny. I don't care. If I see someone hurt, I would just help that person, no matter what gender, no matter what ethnicity group, no matter what culture, no matter what religion, no matter what sexuality. Like, I don't care. I don't care. If I see someone hurt, I would just help. I will not ask anything. The only time I will not help you is if you are a predator or a really, really bad human that's harming other people. Then I would say, like, honestly, then I would not help, because that's your karma. But other than that, guys, I don't care, you know? And you shouldn't care either, because if you are, I'm always saying this, like, you know, like all those people that say like, oh, you can't let like everyone into a country and stuff like that. Guys, imagine one day in your country there will be a war, and you don't want to be involved in the war, right? And you're trying to escape, and now let's say no country is accepting you. How would you feel? Everyone else has right now the matter of your life in their hands, and they say like, no, we will not take you there, and then you will just get, you know, because no one let you somewhere in. And I'm not saying that's just one country's responsibility, but every country's responsibility to look out for other humans from everywhere. It doesn't matter. And I'm not saying that of course we have to be realistic in some degree, but guys, believe me, if you would end up in a situation like that, you would love to have help. And that's just the way it is. And we all should be a community, no matter what, no matter where you're from, no matter your religion, no matter your sexuality, no matter whatever. okay? And that's what people have to understand. And I never understood this like racist views. Like, I could have been a racist too, right? I never was. And I will never understand. Like, generally, I never understood people that choose or are still choosing hate. I will never get that. Honestly, I will never understand. Because why do people care so much about something like that? You know? Like, why don't we care more about people that try to make our current life worse? But no, instead we care about people that already have a worse life, or trying to build a new life, or even if it's not someone that's like trying to escape war. Why are people so obsessed with people's ethnicity and stuff like that? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Yeah, it's always seemed crazy to me. Like, can't we all just be open? The worst of guys. I know one racist person that's going into my class, okay? And he's saying really, really like bad things and like very rude comments and stuff like that. And then he says something like, oh yeah, he likes this one food which is from another country. And I'm like, you just said that you hate everyone from that country and around that, and now you said you like that food from there. How is that adding up? Like, racist people are something that I will never get and never understand, honestly. Yeah, I felt like talking about this. So yeah, I don't really know what this purpose of this video necessarily should be, but I felt like I have to talk about this. And if you listened until yet, thank you. And yeah, I would be really interested in what you think. Like, you think I'm just crazy and trying to live whatever, or are you like, okay, yeah, like, actually there is something, or are you like, nah, it's not my opinion at all, or are you like, oh yeah, I'm like thinking the same? Like, that would be really interesting. But yeah, I have no energy left anymore. Yeah, stay safe, and we will see each other in my next video. Bye bye.